we both spoke at the first meeting when we set up Stop the War back in 2001 in Friend's house in Euston. We had an absolutely packed meeting, and many people then could see what was wrong with it. We then built a very, very big movement. And I think it's interesting looking back now, what do you think the long-term impact of that movement was, and what do you think it still can be? Obviously we don't get the 2 million people on the streets as we did in 2003, but I'd like your thoughts about its impact on the wider society, if you like.
The impact was huge. We had that big public meeting to launch it. We then had a number of public demonstrations against the war in Afghanistan, which was not as unpopular with the public as later wars were, but there was a big public opposition. And we then grew into that massive movement that organised the huge demonstration on October the 15th, February the 15th, 2003. And it was a political education for everybody who was there that day. Everyone was there that day remembers it. Every young person remembers it. And whilst it didn't stop the war, it did encourage large numbers of MPs to vote against it. And I think later on it did allow us that parliamentary vote that stopped the bombing of Syria. The impact of Stop the War coalition has been to provide a point in the political spectrum where there is a serious group of well thought out, very intelligent, very well informed people who are opposed to wars, are opposed to the strategy which leads to more wars, and provides a solid pole for public debate. If we weren't there, we'd now be, I'm convinced, deeply involved in the war in Syria, maybe involved in other wars as well. But the fact that we're there is a bit of a break on what successive British governments have done. And I'm proud that we're still around, and proud of the young people that are continuing to join and support the Stop the War coalition. Because a coalition is, as it says, a wide coalition, but it also has a much deeper hinterland, a hinterland of writers, of musicians, of artists, of debate in universities and elsewhere. It provides that counterpoise to the sofa generals who will sit around and endlessly discuss how we get involved in the next war. We're thinking very deeply about alternatives to this, and I think that's got to be a good thing.
And it's interesting, we have volunteers coming now in to Stop the War who, in our office, who were 10 when we had that big demonstration of 2 million people. So it's had that impact on the future generation as well, which is very encouraging.
I hope they were at the demonstration.
Yes, well, hopefully they'll be at future ones as well. And lots of them are obviously very enthusiastic about your campaign, which is also very good. I think it's interesting that lots of the young people, obviously it's about a range of issues, but one of the issues is anti-war and peace.
It does feel a bit like 2003 at times, with the great excitement of public meetings we're holding. We're having big ones all over the country. But it's also, this is a campaign about hope. This is a campaign about stopping the student debt levels. It's about decent housing for people. It's about inequality, and it's about peace and justice around the world. Very exciting times we are privileged to live in.